What if I told you that all this anguish you feel from overthinking is not a flaw of yours, but proof that you are finally waking up to a reality that most prefer to ignore? While everyone around you lives on autopilot, working, consuming, distracting themselves, you sit there, mulling over the big questions that no one wants to ask. What's the point of all this? Why bother trying if everyone dies in the end? What's the real point of anything? And do you know why these questions torment you so much? Because deep down, you already know the answers. You just don't have the courage to admit them yet. The most brutal truth is that your restless mind is not a curse. It is a microscope that sees beyond the illusions that keep people functioning. While others are content with Netflix, superficial relationships, and career goals, you're stuck in an endless cycle of questioning, one that never stops. It's like being the only sober one at a party where everyone else is drunk. You see the harsh reality, but everyone looks at you like you're the one with the problem. What no one tells you is that this ability to think deeply comes with a price, and maybe it's time to find out if it's worth paying. But what if, instead of trying to stop thinking so much, you finally figured out how to use this curse to your advantage? Before continuing, take the opportunity to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Here, we don't sell cheap optimism for those who think too much. Here, we reveal truths that can finally give you the peace you seek. Now, prepare yourself for a journey into the dark side of human consciousness, where the answers you so desperately seek are hidden in places no one has the courage to explore. You know that feeling of always chasing something, but never being able to achieve true peace. It's as if life itself were a conveyor belt that never stops. You wake up, work, search, conquer, and the next day, it all starts again. Suffering is not a mishap along the way. It is the fuel that keeps this gear running. Since childhood, we learn that trying hard will lead us to happiness. But the reality is that each achievement only reveals a new lack. It's like trying to fill a leaky bucket. No matter how much water you pour in, the emptiness always returns. Think about that friend who spent years saving up to buy their dream apartment. The first week, pure euphoria. 2 months later, he's already worried about financing, complaining about the neighbors, and dreaming of a bigger house. This dynamic is no coincidence. It's human nature in action. Desire is always born from a lack, and when we finally manage to fill that gap, our mind is already busy creating the next one. It's a cycle as predictable as it is cruel, where pleasure is just the interval between two frustrations. The harshest reality is that our own conscience makes us prisoners of this game. Unlike animals who live in the moment, we carry the weight of the past and the anxiety of the future. We dwell on old mistakes. We anticipate pains that have not yet arrived. We create catastrophic scenarios in our minds. It's as if our ability to think, the thing we pride ourselves on having, is also our greatest curse. And the smarter you are, the more you realize that this wheel never stops turning. But is there really a way out for those who think too much? Or are we doomed to be slaves to our own thoughts? Desire is the most sophisticated trick life has invented to keep us trapped. It always arises from an absence. We want money because we fear scarcity. We seek love because loneliness bothers us. We desire recognition because the fear of insignificance torments us. It's as if every desire is a cruel reminder that we are incomplete. Observe your own mind for a day. How many times have you thought, "It would be perfect if I had," or My life would change if I could. It's an internal conversation that never quiets, a thirst that the more you drink, the more it grows. And when, through luck or extreme effort, we get what we wanted so much, the excitement comes and goes faster than we'd like to admit. This is what happens to those who fight for years for a promotion at work and, upon achieving it, discover that they now have to deal with new pressures, impossible goals, and the same feeling of emptiness, only with a higher salary. Millionaire businessmen sinking into depression, celebrities with everything and no peace, people who have made it in life, but still feel like something fundamental is missing. The illusion that this time will be different keeps us spinning on the same wheel, like hamsters convinced they're going somewhere. The trap is perfect, because nature itself programmed our brain to never be satisfied. Dopamine, that pleasure chemical, is released not when we achieve something, but when we are pursuing something. It's like a carrot dangling in front of us, always close enough to keep us moving, always far enough away, never to be truly reached. And so we live, oscillating between the frustration of not having and the boredom of having. But does recognizing this reality free us? Or does it just make us more aware of our chains? Since childhood, we've been bombarded with images of nature as something beautiful and harmonious. Blue skies, green fields, cute animals playing in the woods. But that's just the edited version we sell to ourselves, because the raw reality is quite different. In real nature, predators tear apart living prey, puppies starve to death before they can walk, diseases eat away at bodies without mercy. It's a spectacle of survival, where each life is maintained at the cost of the death of another, and there is no higher power concerned with making it fair or beautiful. Nature is simply indifferent, relentless, and utterly uninterested in your personal well-being. This indifference is not a flaw in the system. It is the system itself, working perfectly. A deer grazing peacefully is not experiencing deep happiness. It is just not being attacked at that moment. But all it takes is a noise in the forest and the panic returns, because peace is always temporary and the threat constant. Likewise, when you feel good, it's not because life has decided to reward you. It's just because nothing particularly bad is happening right now. The fear of death keeps us alive. The pain of desire keeps us moving. And frustration keeps us from stopping and questioning the whole game. The most disturbing thing is realizing that, even knowing this, we continue to create narratives to make sense of the chaos. We invent purposes, destinies, signs from the universe, anything, to avoid facing the stark reality that we are just one species among billions, living on a planet that would continue spinning perfectly without us. It's like watching a movie without a script and still insisting that there must be a happy ending. But what if there isn't? What if all this searching for meaning is just our mind desperately trying to find patterns where there is only nothing? If reality is so brutal, how do billions of people still manage to wake up every day, work, fall in love, and make plans for the future? The answer is simple, because we create sophisticated lies that make the unbearable bearable. Humanity survives because it masterfully deludes itself, inventing religions that promise divine justice, ideologies that speak of progress, dreams of a better tomorrow that never arrives. It's like painting prison bars gold. They're still there, doing their job, but the shine helps us forget that we're trapped. And the smarter you are, the more elaborate your personal lies become. Since the beginning, religion has been the ultimate painkiller against existential suffering. the promise of paradise, of final reckoning, of a hidden meaning to all pain. All this offers relief to those who cannot face the void head-on. God has a plan. Everything happens for a reason. You will be rewarded in the end. Phrases that act as temporary bandages on wounds that never truly heal. It's not naivety, it's self-preservation. Because the alternative, accepting that there may be no plan at all, is too terrifying for most to process. And when religion loses strength, other illusions take its place. Technological progress, leaving a legacy, changing the world, building something that will make us immortal. We spend decades accumulating achievements, titles, recognition, as if that could save us from the inevitable. It is a perfect mechanism that keeps us busy and distant from the full awareness of our temporary condition. But there is a lie even more powerful, more seductive, and more universal than all the others. One that can fool even the most die-hard skeptics. And maybe you already know what it is. What culture, music, and movies sell as the pinnacle of human experience. Love is nothing more than an evolutionary masterstroke to ensure the species continues to reproduce. That overwhelming feeling, the passion that moves mountains, the feeling that you've finally found your soulmate, it's all chemical fuel to keep the game of life going. It's not proof of something divine. It's just an unwritten contract. Nature offers you a few months, or years if you're lucky, of hormonal euphoria in exchange for decades of emotional complications, responsibilities, and, in the end, the inevitable pain of separation. But no one reads the fine print. When they're in love, and like every desire, love carries within itself the seed of its own suffering. When we are rejected, the pain is physical. It literally activates the same areas of the brain as bodily pain. When we win someone over, we soon discover that routine, jealousy, unmet expectations, and irreconcilable differences erode the initial charm. Even the happiest couples, those who made it work, face the same fate. Inevitable separation. Through the death of one of them, look around. How many relationships have actually brought lasting peace? Most oscillate between moments of joy and long periods of frustration, conflict, and that nagging feeling that something is not right. Neuroscience confirms what the most pessimistic philosophers already suspected. Our brain releases dopamine in the search for the other. But this intensity decreases after the conquest. The beginning of any relationship is always more exciting than the rest, not because people change, but because our brain chemistry is programmed to make us seek partners, not to keep us happy with them. And so, we keep the wheel spinning, jumping from relationship to relationship, or pretending that this time it will be different. But what happens when this last illusion also crumbles? There is a moment in the life of an overthinker, a cruel instant of clarity, when all distractions stop working. It can happen on a sleepless night, during a funeral, or even at the height of an achievement, which suddenly completely loses its flavor. It's when the constant noise of the world goes silent for a few seconds, and you come face to face with the question that's always been there, waiting. What's all this for, anyway? There is no cell phone notification, no idle chat or new goal that can fill the void that opens up in this moment. It's like waking up in the middle of a bad play and realizing you're not just a spectator, you're part of the cast, but no one gave you the script. For some, this awakening comes too soon. Children who realize that their parents will also die one day. Young people at the peak of their vitality who realize that each day lived is one step closer to the end. Adults who have achieved everything and yet feel a greater emptiness than when they had nothing. It's like reaching the top of a mountain and discovering that there's nothing there, just the view of other empty mountains and the knowledge that the entire climb was just a way to pass the time until the inevitable. This awareness is not depression, it is lucidity. It's seeing beyond the layers of meaning that we invent to make existence tolerable. Some call it an existential crisis, others a spiritual awakening. But really, it's just the moment your mind stops accepting ready-made answers and starts asking the questions that really matter. And the most astonishing of all is, if none of this makes sense, if in the end everything turns to dust, why can't our minds just stop? Most people believe they can decide to be happy, as if it were a matter of willpower or positive thinking. But the reality is that your brain wasn't designed for well-being. It was shaped over millions of years to ensure survival, not happiness. Therefore, fear never disappears, desire never ceases, and emptiness always returns. Constant dissatisfaction keeps the species moving. Dopamine is not released when we achieve something, but when we are pursuing something. True pleasure lasts a few seconds and is soon replaced by a new desire. It's like running on a treadmill without the scenery actually changing, and we still carry the negativity bias. One insult means more than 10 compliments. A loss hurts more than a gain satisfies. To our ancestors, this made sense. For us today, it's just another filter that amplifies suffering. And as if that weren't enough, we are aware. A dog feels pain and moves on. We feel, remember, relive, and even anticipate pains that may never happen. Our ability to think becomes a prison. But this mental machine that torments us also has an inevitable end. After a lifetime driven by desire and tormented by one's own conscience, the moment comes when the machine begins to fail. The brain loses functions, memories fade, skills dissolve, identity fragments, diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, or dementia remind us that even our minds, the ones we cultivate so much, are just organic matter with an expiration date. Death ceases to be a distant concept and becomes a constant presence. No matter how many possessions you have accumulated, how many people you have impressed, in the end, it all ends in the same place. It's as if life hands over an empty trophy and whispers, "Is this what you were running from this whole time?" And maybe, just at that moment, when there's nowhere left to run, some people find a strange peace. Not the peace of someone who has achieved something, but of someone who has stopped running. So, after taking this journey through the darkest corners of the human mind, what will you do now with this awareness? Return to autopilot, or turn the burden of overthinking into your greatest weapon? Most people will never understand what goes on in your head, and maybe that's exactly what you need to accept to find peace. You were born to see beyond, to question, to disturb, including yourself. If this content touched you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because understanding reality may not be comfortable, but it is the only way for those who can no longer live with lies.